About a year ago, over 20,000 of you toured this Champion Diamond Series cottage with me when we first had it delivered to our 20-acre property in Texas. I thought that a few of you might want to see an update of just what we've done to add some curb appeal of what's happened around here on the farm. And so if you've been anxious to see just what it looks like 1 year later, then join me for this quick outdoor tour. Lefty wants to join us too. She thinks we're going on a walk. Other lodging on the farm includes the Mallard travel trailer that we used to stay in, La Adelita Casita, which is a cabin that we DIY'd. Hopefully you've seen some of those videos and all the work that went into that and making it a weekend stay, not only for retreats, but for friends and family. But here is our Diamond Series cottage. It was manufactured by Champion Homes and purchased by us from Ranch and Lakes Tiny Homes on the west side of Fort Worth in Millsap, Texas. It was delivered on St. Patrick's Day in 2022, but we didn't move into it until early April. So we're sitting right at a year that we've been living in the home. There was nothing around it except for the chicken coop when we first moved in. Since then, we have added some yard art. We've unearthed some rocks that were sitting over where that burn pile is. These were old rocks that came out of a pond that was dug on the neighboring property, and they were just sitting in a giant pile. So Ryan has done a little bit of work to not only move these into a nice structure, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but also to clear out this area so that maybe we can plant some trees and create. These rocks actually serve a purpose. That pile of gravel over there is our septic tank, and it comes down and comes over here where the pipes are for our leach field. If you know anything about septic systems, you know that you are not supposed to drive over a leach field. It can damage the pipes underneath the ground. Well, of course, when we have delivery drivers come up, the first thing they want to do is turn around in this space to exit the way they came. The rocks now serve a purpose of creating a border so that people cannot drive over the leach field and damage our septic system. That wasn't ideally where we wanted to put the septic, but if we had to run it all the way down the hill behind me, it would have been very costly. So we did opt to go ahead. Look at that ham. We opted to go ahead and have it all put here in front of the house. So it's kind of compact, but cost us far less than it would if we had to run by the foot down to the bottom of the hill. The coop has been there from the beginning. That was one of the first projects that we created. The hens are off foraging somewhere, and you can see all of the gorgeous wildflowers because it is springtime. The cats really want to show off for you. Ryan put this hitching post. We rescued a horse named Elsa recently. She is a long way from being saddle trained, but he did get ambitious and decided to buy a saddle, so he's been training her with it on. It's going okay, but it also makes for a nice decorative touch to the front of the property. We've planted some trees and spread ryegrass and some other fast-growing grass, so we did end up getting some grass this year. It's mostly weeds, but at least it's green, so it creates a little bit of greenery around and some curb appeal. This tree is a Chinese elm that we planted last year. I'll be spiking the trees soon so that they can hopefully get a little boost, especially considering we haven't had a lot of rain. I have a little wisteria growing that almost died in the freeze, but came back. The fig tree has been a little slow to come back, and the Chinese pistachio is sprouting again at the top. So hopefully we'll have some trees to help create some shade around the house pretty soon. After a bug. I recently put a garden on this side of the house. It was way over on the other side of the barn, and it was just really challenging to water that area. rely on rain that we were not getting to even refill our rain barrels, which I was using to water, but when there's no rain, there's no way to water sustainably. We were having to fill the water tank, and even though we're on a well system, we didn't want to have to water that often unnecessarily. I ended up moving it over here, and this way I can water regularly and hopefully get some rain this spring. But I love having the garden closer because that way I can grow my own vegetables. We've already enjoyed some spinach and kale salads so far this year, and I'm excited to grow squash and okra and other things that I know do well in our soil and in our dry, hot conditions. One of the first things we did when the house was delivered was hire someone to put the skirting around it. So Parker Building and Construction in our area came and installed this skirting to help with climate control and hide all of the pipes underneath. It was something that, even though we are DIYers, we just didn't want to tackle. My husband was having shoulder problems and ultimately had surgery, and so it was nice to be able to support someone local in the area to do this project and not have to do it ourselves. We did bid out these stairs, but ultimately built them ourselves. So we used stair stringers from the hardware store and the same Trex decking that they used for the front porch that was already attached to the house. Ryan built these railings and just painted them recently. So we had them up and not matching the rest of the trim, but we ended up painting them, and now we have a nice finished front porch with a grand entrance. I've added a little bit of landscaping with these planters from Tractor Supply, bought some privet from a local landscaping company, and cats to adorn the front too. Who needs lion statues when you have little kittens everywhere? One of the features we loved most about this model was the beautiful large picture windows in the living room, so you can see those from the outside here and see Lefty once again trying to steal the show. The gutters were installed last fall, so that was something too that we realized later needed to be an addition. The rain would run right off the roof and onto the house pad, and we were very worried that the house pad was going to start to wash away. We built this house up. There is not a place on our property that isn't sloped, but the house is now about 3 foot above the surrounding landscape. So our guy who did our dirt work said, yeah, I had to bring in about 19 dump trucks full of dirt. So this is how much it's elevated above the surrounding landscape, and also creates an issue when you don't want your house pad to wash away. So Ryan built this little channel for the water to wash down through, and kind of creates a cool feature here on the side of the house, especially since we struggle so much to grow grass on this side. One of our next projects will be putting a deck here on this off this sliding door. So this will become kind of the front of the house, at least when you're facing from this side of the house. Of course, you drive up to the front porch, so that creates a gorgeous view too, but we'll enjoy being out here because the house is oriented this way for the best view on the property. The sun sets this direction, and it is stunning in the evenings. A fun and quite unexpected addition to the property are the blue bonnets, which Pancha is going to block. Move, Pancha. So we ended up having blue bonnets in our fill dirt. So there are blue bonnets blooming all over the house. They've washed even over to the area where the Studebaker is, and so there's beautiful blue bonnets, which are the Texas state flower, all around the house, and they spread pretty easily. So after they got delivered last year with the fill dirt, they bloomed this year, and I'm sure they'll spread this year, so that in the years to come we will have a house that is surrounded by blue bonnets in April. Some people might not love that because you can't pick bluebonnets and technically shouldn't mow over them, but we don't get a lot of grass around here anyway, so anything that is green and growing, we are here for it. So that's the outdoor update on our Champion Diamond Series 2-bedroom cottage. I hope that you enjoyed seeing everything we've done to add a little bit of curb appeal to the property. And if you want to see anything about other updates inside, there are other videos for that. If you want to see more about La Adelita Casita, the DIY cabin that we finished, there are plenty of videos for that. Subscribe to Time Pastures, and that way you can keep up with everything going on the farm. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.